So one of the biggest things on putting on an event like this is trying to figure out who do you ask to be a guest speaker, especially the first time when you've never done this before. So when it was suggested to me that Wayne Winsley be our guest speaker, I thought, well, he is a very dynamic speaker who's uplifting and passionate. Not only does he make you think, but he motivates you to act. Some of you may know him as a DJ, a talk radio host, or you may even remember his very lively campaign in the 3rd Congressional District. Now he has become a very active voice in our state and cultivating a whole new generation of patriots. Mr. Winsley is the founder and director of the Brave Enough to Fail program. And he is brave enough because he goes into our high schools and he helps our students see their real potential and encourage them to use their education to break the cycles of poverty and dependency and become active, successful citizens. President Lincoln believed education can change our lives. After all, he is a great example of how education can turn a life of poverty into a great success. Mr. Winsley understands that reaching this age group is crucial because, after all, this generation will one day shape our government. In the words of President Lincoln, the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of the government in the next. So as we continue to remember President Lincoln this evening, please help me welcome a fellow Republican, a conservative capitalist, and an American patriot, Mr. Wayne Winsley.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, Meriden. I'm going to stand in front of this if that's okay. I'm not the tallest fellow in the world. So. But first of all, yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, the Meriden Republicans. Also, I see some faces from Wallingford right next door. Thank you all very much for having me. And also, I want to take the opportunity to thank you and let you know how honored I was to be a member of the Republican team of candidates in 2012. It was my honor to carry the banner for our party in the 3rd District. This is your first Lincoln Day dinner, correct, Liz? So I'm going to start off talking a little bit about Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham Lincoln was president and the southern states decided to secede from the Union, Abraham Lincoln had a couple of choices. The first choice was actually pretty easy. He could have just let them go and just said, you know what? Farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, good riddance, and by the way, good luck with that whole owning people thing you guys are so fond of. Yeah, good luck with that. The other choice was preserve the Union. That was a hard choice. That meant embarking on a long, treacherous road with no certain outcome. Abraham Lincoln did the hard thing because preserving the Union was that important. Lincoln understood that this grand experiment called the United States of America was far too precious to be allowed to fall into the dustbin of history. So he embarked on the hard road to preserve the Union. And not just preserve the Union, but to pave the way for a more perfect union, where the words all men are created equal actually apply to every man and woman. Now, of course, Lincoln is no longer with us. But the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, is the courage of Abraham Lincoln did not die with him. Folks, the courage that envisioned that first Republican platform of free land, free speech, free labor, that courage is still alive and well. The vision, as explained by another great president, Ronald Reagan, of hope, confidence, and growth, and a government that serves all Americans equally as individuals, that vision still burns bright. And the commitment to common sense economic policies that understand and recognize that the private sector and not government is actually the engine of wealth creation. Folks, that is still alive. And going back to Lincoln for just a second, because starting that, embarking on that long road of preserving the Union, when he made that choice, even after he made the choice, he faced some hardships. He faced generals who weren't ready to fight, assassination threats, huge losses of life on the battlefield, political opposition, you name it. But he persevered, he kept his strength, and he soldiered on, and he saw it to completion. A lesser man would have given up. A lesser president, like a Bill Clinton type, would have thrown in the towel. It was well, I tell you what, I worked as hard as I could on that thing, I tell you. It was, I couldn't do it. Maybe my wife, now she could have probably done it. She's stronger than I could. You know? I'm sorry, black folks, I'm sorry. I tried. But I feel your pain, I really do. But he didn't. Abraham Lincoln didn't throw in the towel because he knew that the idea of freedom and equality and this United States of America was that precious. He understood that. And now the courage, vision, and commitment that I alluded to as it walked down the corridors of history to right now, you see, that kind of thing, those traits, they aren't for everybody. Not everybody. You have to be extraordinary. Abraham Lincoln was an extraordinary man with extraordinary courage. To take up the mantle of that kind of courage, vision, and commitment requires extraordinary people. Not a lot of people have those traits. Some of our liberal friends don't have it. You can ask them. They'll tell you. Heck, they'll tell you if you don't ask them. But ladies and gentlemen, it is my belief that a league of extraordinary ladies and gentlemen are the heart and soul of today's Republican Party. That heart and soul is represented very well by some of the people right here in this room gathered here tonight. Go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. And now, having said that, now I'm going to ask a question. See, obviously I'm not a lawyer, because if I was an attorney, I would know, don't ask a question that you don't know the answer to. But, so, I'm going to guess, though, that a lot of us are Republicans in this room. You're Republicans, raise your hand. Where's our Republicans at? Right here. Okay, there you go. All right, now, I'm also going to guess that you are Republicans by choice. You were not coerced to join the party. All right, you joined of your own free will. See, if I was at a Democrat gathering, I probably wouldn't say that. Right. But that is important, because you made a choice. Now, have you ever downloaded an app or anything like that on your smartphone or a device, or filled out a form online or anything like that, or even some hard copy paperwork filling out something? You see that little box that pops up at the bottom that says, check here if you agree to the terms and conditions. It has that big paragraph that none of us ever read. I know, I see it all the time. I just want the next version of iTunes. Yes, I agree, whatever. Well, when you check that box, you have, whether you read it or not, you have agreed to abide by all of the terms and conditions of using whatever app or agreement it is. You have checked the box and you made a choice. You have committed yourself to abiding by the ramifications of that choice. As Republicans, when we checked the box and registered as Republicans, remember, we did have options. We could have registered as unaffiliated. We could have registered as Democrat. Okay, I couldn't. But we could have. The box is there. That choice means something really important. Going to go back to Abraham Lincoln for just a moment. Because when Abraham Lincoln made the decision to preserve the Union, now, he didn't have an iPad at his desk. He had like the 1860 version of one. He didn't have a little stylus, probably had a little feather pen. But when he made the choice to preserve the Union, a little box popped up. It said, by choosing to preserve the Union, you agree to all the terms, conditions, ramifications, and consequences of this choice. In Lincoln's case, that meant embarking on years of torturously hard work, bloodshed, and destruction on an untold scale. But Lincoln did not flinch. He checked the box, and then he lived up to that choice. He fulfilled all of the terms and conditions up to and including surrendering his own life in the process. He followed through. Ladies and gentlemen, as Republicans, when we checked the box, we agreed that we would follow and uphold the values and principles that made America the great nation that it is. We agreed that we would be a voice and a representation of those values of freedom, equality, free enterprise, individual freedoms. Mayor Santos alluded to some of them perfectly in his remarks. Now, in Connecticut, we all know that being a Republican means you signed up for a job of work, didn't we? We got some work to do in this state. But I believe that we are up to it. We are that league of extraordinary ladies and gentlemen. Now, there is one thing that we need to do, though. We have got to enlarge our ranks. We've got to bring on some reinforcements, some refreshments. We need more people who are willing and able to take up the mantle and to stand with us for those American values that we hold dear and that have stood the test of time in this country. That grand experiment that is the United States of America. Now, when I ran for Congress, I made myself an even bigger history nerd, because I am. My wife will tell you, I'm like watching the History Channel at 2 o'clock in the morning. Dude, that's cool. No, honey, look. Yeah, shut up. But, you know, I think of de Tocqueville as he wandered this country and was fascinated by the industry and the prosperity of this thing called America. And our union right now it's under attack. No, it's not being divided along state lines, but it most certainly is being divided along ideological and philosophical lines. And now more than ever, it is important that we preserve the Union. And yes, we need some more people to do that. Now, I learned in my run for Congress again that yes, it is doable. And for that reason, though I did not win my contest, I'm here to tell you, I have not left the battlefield. Not at all.